Alright, so once again, hello guys, and welcome to another of our classes about the complete introduction to the deep web. So in today's class, we are gonna talk how the deep dark web could be used for legal purposes. So yeah, since I mentioned in our last class, the deep web slash dark, the deep slash dark web is not only bad things. The deep web itself, well, it could be a lot of interesting things, just well, not indexed by Google. And the dark web, well, there too you have a lot of interesting things, but once again you have a lot of bad things also. So let's see how this two forms of web can be used for legal purposes. All right. So the first thing is it provides people anonymity. So the main goal of Tor and all this concept of deep slash dark web and everything, well, everything behind this is really the concept of anonymity. So people want to be able to have some privacy when they're browsing, and with today's browsers, for example, if you go on Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever, everything you do, the more small movement you do, well, you are being tracked by different cookies, and well, what's happening is that you are constantly, well, huge firms in this world are constantly getting information from you. So this way they give you a lot of ads and you buy their products and all this kind of stuff. But with the deep web, it's completely different. You are 100% anonymous. No one tracks you. You are, let's say, free to do whatever you want. So that's an amazing thing. It provides anonymity. Yeah, of course, a lot of people, why people are so scared of the deep web or the dark web, is because, well, they're used to safe places. For example, Google or any other browser, Internet Explorer or Mozilla, well, they are safe places. Websites that you can find there are safe websites, and usually you don't expect to see like stuff that you can see on the deep web, because people will not post this kind of stuff because they can get tracked. But on the deep slash dark web, it's different. Since everyone is anonymous, well, people post any kind of stuff. This is why you can have access to, well, you can have access to bad stuff, but you can also have access to amazing stuff. And when I'm talking about amazing stuff, we're gonna talk about it in our last point also. It could be, well, any kind of information. But yeah, second thing, it gives access to censored content to people from some countries. What does it mean? What I'm trying to say by this is, let's say for example, you have countries that have some websites that are censored that you can't access. For example, in some countries in the world, you can't access Facebook or you can't access YouTube. So people who are living in those countries are living massive censorship. They don't have access to some websites. So what's happening is that they don't see like the internet as we see it in other countries. For example, in Canada slash United States, we have access to content that people in China will not necessarily have access to because the internet is controlled. So the deep web, the browser that controls, that gives you access to the deep web, will give you access to all this data, and you will be able to, well, get access to a lot of content that is censored by governments, and you will be able to watch this content, which is an amazing thing. And once again, it brings us to the point of a lot of information is available on the deep web, since it's around 95, well, from 94 to 96% of the whole internet. You have amazing content right there. And for the censorship part, even this, for example, people who are living in a certain country, well, they will be able to see the world differently. Let's say the government tries to not oppress people, but the government usually in those peoples, well, the government controls media, the government controls everything, and by accessing the deep web, those people will be able to see the world like they will see the world differently. They will not only see what their government or media is telling them to see. Last thing, it brings us to our last point, which is it has a lot of massive information. So what I'm trying to say by massive information, well, first you have all those websites that people can't access will be able to access by going to the deep web. Um, you have huge libraries. You have books, all kinds of books. You have well, when you get to the deep web, you have one thing that is the Tor library, if I'm not mistaken, and well, you will be able to have access to a huge database of books that you can read. So it's a lot of information. Also, since it's like the biggest part of the internet, well, by getting access to, well, the deep web slash dark web, you'll be able to get access to a lot of beautiful information from different countries, different well, different people. Only just the concept of having access to what other people say, or the the point of view of some people on some things or some situations, well, it's really a beautiful thing, because once again, people are anonymous, and people, well, they will not retain themselves of saying like the real things, like what they really think. And this way you can see, once again, really beautiful things, but you can also see very bad things. So this is why it's very important to know where exactly you will look to find your information, because as I said, you don't have censorship on the deep web. Well, it's deep slash dark web, since everyone is anonymous, so no censorship means people can say and do whatever they want without well, necessarily getting tracked, even if some people are getting tracked. But this is the concept of the deep slash dark web. It's really to give you anonymity and give you the power to say things or do things without being censored. So it could be a good thing, a very, very good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So this is why you have to filter where you try to find out your information. So those are the things that are ways for you that you can use the deep web legally. So as I said, to find out information, once again, it could be scientific information, it could be information about a lot of different stuffs, about history, about countries. Personally, I really love the Tor library because you have books about absolutely everything. So yeah, this is personally why I use the deep web very, very often, because as I said, you have a lot of beautiful information, and you just have to know where to find this information, how to filter all this information. Because yes, sometimes you can find very, very bad things, but once again, if you filter your information the right way, everything's gonna be alright. So those are the three things that for me I consider can be considered as why you'll use the deep web: for legal purposes, for anonymity, to give access to censored content for countries that live in censorship. So those people will have access to the internet as a whole, and well, give access to a lot of information that is not necessarily on the surface web, but that can be very present on the deep slash dark web. So that's it for this course, guys, and see you in our next class, where we are gonna talk about myths about the deep slash dark web.